Hi, Flosstube. It's Arlene. It's Friday, June 23rd. And I'm nervous. I don't get nervous doing these videos. That's not it. I am nervous because I am doing this video today because I'm coming here to share with you my new set of designs for my Etsy store. And the nervousness comes from if you have ever had a project in your life when you've been working really hard at something and the first time you put yourself out there and you got all kinds of wonderful response to it. And it feels so good. And by wonderful response, I mean the kindness of comments, the kindness of people sharing, the kindness of people mentioning me on their floss tubes and in other ways of that, the kindness, of course, of people buying my patterns. And then you worry, was that just a fluke? Was that just a momentary first time thing? Or is it something that will be real? So I've been working in the last few weeks on a new set of designs. It's been a much more intense time in the last couple of weeks as the school year wound down and I ramped up the amount of time, especially in this last week. And so I know the nervousness of how will these be, how will they be. Anyway, I know that just comes from how much time I've been putting into this project. And I know, my hope and my plan is to, as soon as this is done and up and everything is hit published and all of that, I'm already working on, in my mind, and soon on paper, pencil, graph paper, and all the other ways, what I would want to be my next set of designs. But I already know the ways to kind of even out the whole process so I don't have the intense work that I was doing this week. But all that to say is the nervousness just comes from not knowing what you all will think. And there's nothing to do but to just share and see how this goes. So bear with me here. So again, thank you for everyone who purchased, for everyone who just kindly went and looked, for everyone who just gave me support in all the kinds of ways. I so appreciate that. Some interesting statistics, or interesting to me anyway, that I was compiling just the other day, or 2 days ago, because I wanted to know from my first set of sales. It's been 5 weeks since I opened my store. Let me give you my high-tech way of sharing. My store is called Works by ABC. If you are relatively new, I just yesterday hit 1,000 subscribers, which is, as everyone says, beyond comprehension. Today I'm at 1,002. But so if you're relatively new or haven't yet seen, my store is called Works by ABC. My initials are ABC. My middle name is Beth. Obviously, when you go to Etsy, there's no spaces. So Works by ABC. So I had made the decision at the beginning as I was evolving this that I wanted to offer patterns both as digital PDF downloads as well as paper patterns to mail out. And I figured that way I was covering all bases. There are folks that love the immediacy of click, click, and boom, I got the download and I have it in my hands. That instant satisfaction, whether they use a screen, tablet, phone, whatever to work off of, or whether they print and use from that. Hey, it works for you. Saves you a few bucks. You get the instant feeling. Wonderful, especially for those who are international. And for those who love the paper, to know that I am providing that. I still love paper. I have loved creating those packages. I don't love standing in line on the post office, and I try to avoid that, but I love the physical act of going to the post office and bringing that to you. handwrite a little note that I've included in all the envelopes. And that's been an important piece, and I've loved doing that. So my statistics are almost half and half. It was 47% are paper of my sales have been paper copies, and 53% thereabouts PDF, which is, I was pleasantly surprised there were as many paper copies as there were, just because of the selling platform of Etsy. That's all. I know plenty of stitchers love paper copies. It's just because I'm so glad to know that so many people are like me and like paper copies and are willing, they want it that way, waiting a few days to have it and all. My bestseller, just looking to see if I brought something over here. Yes, I did. Sorry. Sorry. My bestseller is, not surprisingly, the Skeleton Mosaic. This has been featured on a few Flosstube videos. And just want to reiterate again, if you purchase the Skeleton Mosaic, the information I provided mentions that there's some question about how to interpret this Greek word. It's actually one word. In the context of the time period that this mosaic would actually have been created. And I charted it with one interpretation, be cheerful and live your life, to me, the irony of the skeleton in that statement. But having heard that there were some people who liked the other interpretation, and I'm sorry you can barely see this, but you get the pleasure of the food you eat hastily with death. I created the chart of these words to fit this. So if you purchase this pattern and you want this quote instead, pop me an email. I'm happy to send you the PDF that has the chart with those words. Similarly, another thing came up just this week. Ingeborg at A Stitch Too Far, and if that's not the right name, I will link her below, but she's got Stitch Too Far. She, in her most recent video, had did some shopping, and was sharing that she purchased some beautiful fabric and threads to stitch up this. The Praise of the Needle is my second bestseller, pretty close to the Skeleton Mosaic. And she mentioned in that video, and that when I talked about this, I shared how I cut out 2 lines of the poem. And that was my own personal preference. But sure, in retrospect, there's any number of reasons why somebody would want to have those in, whether they're poetry purists, poetry purists, or they like those words. So in her video, she just casually mentioned that she was thinking about trying to insert them in. So, and Ingeborg, I wrote this in a comment, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it was so easy for me to create a chart that has those 2 lines. So the 2 lines that I cut out: so long as silkworms with exhausted spoil of their own entrails for man's gain shall toil. If you purchase this pattern and you would like, I think they belong right there. If you would like you would like the chart that includes, it's the same font, it fits right in, and you would like this, these 2 lines, again, send me an email, worksbyabc@gmail.com, and I would be happy to send you the chart, or the PDF chart of those 2 lines. So if that works for you. Okay, here we go, my new patterns. All right, so the 2 videos ago, I had asked if you would, in the comments, leave me suggestions of things you like, designs that appeal to you, styles, whatever. Lots and lots of ideas came out. Some themes. A number of people mentioned geometry, symmetry, things that I love too. And, in thinking about that, there's a little bit of a chicken and egg thing going on, because it may be that you like my videos because I do a lot of stitching that is geometry and symmetry, and so therefore you're making that you like what I stitch, and so therefore you're watching my videos and it all makes sense. So you'll see certain themes in some of the things, and I'm going to start out with this. Oh, so my last video, one of the pieces that I mentioned and talked about were the knots, the D-U-R, D-E-R, der knots. I realized after the video that I actually had a postcard size. This is just one of them. And this came from an exhibit, and my comments that mathematically speaking, this is not a knot, K-N-O-T, because you can't take, one place and start tracing the path and cover this whole pattern. It takes multiple trails to cover that whole pattern. But there are lots of designs that are real knots. A number of people commented about Celtic designs. That's something that I've been interested in. I think it was around the time that I was fascinated by the der knots that I had acquired these two books, Celtic design book, the Celtic knotwork design, and I have been doing some work with that, and so it became a natural thing. It was some time after that, but not in the immediate time. I bought this necklace. I know I got it from a little gift store in Vermont, and I was there in a small town where I went for a number of summers for a week for bobbin lace, kind of like camp, camp for adults. And this is a true knotwork design in that you take one place and you can trace it around and get right back to where you started and cover everything. So I've had this necklace for a few years, and I know I've always thought that would be a neat thing to turn into needlework in some way, shape, or form. So the first pattern I'm sharing with you is the knotwork octagon. For the sake of putting a picture on the cover, I just went with a green color because I didn't have anything else that's green currently. The spirit of this design is pick your favorite thread, pick your favorite fabric. It really is intended to be anything goes in terms of color. The pattern is all plotted out for you. Literally, you could start anywhere, trace your finger, and you would literally cover the entire, swirling design all the way around if you wanted to. I can envision this on, like white fabric with some dark thread. Pick your favorite variegated or over-dyed. It would look awesome. Pick some super cool, amazing fabric that you have dyed and you just don't know what to do with it, and then some solid color thread, and then the beautiful fabric would show through with a design like this. So inspired by my necklace, I was able to create this, and for all the times that I've worn this, I now have the pattern to go with it, and I'm pleased that I got this. So there you go, knotwork octagon, first one. I don't want this lost among all the stuff that's sitting in front of me. I'm going to do that. Okay, next one. I think I have mentioned in the past at some point about a wonderful exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum of Art that was there about a year and a half ago, and it was about textile pattern books. It had a lot of lace, and that was why I was so interested in seeing it. Fascinating, amazing. I have lots of pictures that I had taken, and most of those pictures were the lace pieces. But I learned so much from that. One thing was about the pattern books from literally 15th, 16th, 17th century. This design, called Vase, Flowers, and Leaves, I think it came out nice. I like it. Come up a little closer. But I think the neat piece, or the neat reference thing to think about, is that this is a design that comes from a pattern book that was printed in 1557. That's 460 years ago. And with minor tweaks, it's 460 years old. Not worried about copyright infringement here at all. I think it's kind of a cool thing to think about, because this looks like not so different from various things that I see folks stitching nowadays, and yet it's centuries old. Pattern books printed in the 16th century were often used as guides for creating designs on textiles for homes and for adornment of clothing. It would be amazing to find some historical cloth that has this particular pattern on it. Now, I don't know if there's one that actually exists. At this Met exhibit, they did have in some cases, a few pieces of cloth that they may or may not have known what the cloth might have been like curtains or windows or home textiles of some kind. They did have a few examples of cloth with designs on them, and then a page open in a centuries old pattern book that you could see the inspiration, which was so amazing that historically that researchers were able to put those things together. Fortunately, I don't have any pictures of that part of the exhibit because at the time wasn't what I was interested in. And man, I wish I could go back and see when there's nothing on the website that shows that aspect of the exhibit. Anyway, man, would it be cool to find that in, something really old. But in any case, I think it makes for a nice design. The colors, I picked some colors that looked okay. It was kind of my choice on where to breaking up the different parts of it, because it could all be done in one solid color, or it even could get broken up even more. Again, my Etsy store says patterns to inspire. I should know this. I wanted to encourage the idea to inspire you to go with what you love, whether that be threads, whether that be fabric, whatever works for you. I'm only giving you the basic guidelines in this case in terms of the pattern. So there you go, vase, flowers, and leaves, second pattern. Third one to share with you, I have this idea, we'll see if I carry it out, that for each set of designs I should include a small. I don't know a better way to call it, but a small. And for me, that means a pattern that is going to be relatively small to finish off, such that it's without any problems, that I could fit the pattern on one page to print, that doesn't have any particularly interesting historical information that I could provide you, so it doesn't take that many pages, and just is something that would be fun and nice, and not too much money, so that maybe people would be interested. So this set of designs, small, I'm calling Symmetrical Star. Again, another symmetrical piece, and it was a portion of something, and I started playing with it and realized how I could do it pretty easily. I just played around with colors, so I was looking at a color book, and here would be antique themed colors. Here's a pastel color scheme. Sorry. Here's a monochrome color scheme. Uses 4 colors, so choose your 4 favorite colors, and you could create something like this. You'll see this one is a little cheaper in my store, and that's the idea, is that I would do one pattern a little bit like this each time. And the details of the sizes of all these patterns will be on each, so you can get a sense of how big they are when you do them. Okay, the next one. Just a couple weeks ago, I was at my school's graduation. It's a 6 through 12 school. I teach in the middle school. I don't know, I've only been there a short time. I don't know the high school students. I was just sitting there. They're doing senior awards. They get to the award. It had a fancier name, but it was basically for someone who did a lot in the spirit of community service, a service award. And in reading the citation, again, didn't know this student at all, they read a quote that just stuck with me so much. And it was a quote from that is often attributed to somebody. Well, let me read you the quote. Do all the good you can by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. Do all the good. And it's, it still gets me, because I guess you could say in a lot of ways that's what I try to do. And I love the piece of what you can do. And I think we can all say there's enough difficult things going on in the world that we need as many people as possible to do all the good they can. So this quote stuck with me so much. I just knew sitting there, I have to do something with this, and I have to spread this. I have to do that. In going home and researching it, it is often attributed to a theology person, John Wesley, his dates are 1703 to 1797. However, the most minimal of Google searches will also say that there's no actual evidence that he actually said or wrote these exact words. So it's one of those things where it comes up with his name, and then the immediate thing says, but wait, we don't know if he actually said it. Doesn't matter who originally said it. It's just really powerful. So I love the word so much. I was at the same time in my knotwork designing phase, and I found something, and I was working with that, and then I looked at it, and I thought, is this going to work? And then I was also looking at old pattern books. Well, here's what it boils down to, people. This is a 2-for-1. You get 2 patterns because I couldn't decide which border worked better. So I'm going to bring it up closer. Now, just to be fair, each of these corners is not real knotwork, because if you traced it out, it does not go back on itself, but it has the look of knotwork. You could try and do it with multiple colors. I just have it charted in one color, but you, of course, could play with it. So that's what one border looks like. But I wondered, does that look too heavy? Does it look too much? So I poked around. I found, and again, this is inspired by a centuries-old pattern book. I added color. I had colors I liked. They could be colors you don't like, and you could play around with it some more. And that gave it a little bit more of a softer look. And I didn't want to have to choose. I didn't want to break it up into 2 patterns because that just felt silly. I'm just giving it as a 2-for-1. So you get both patterns in this pack. The quote, the words, the lines are the same font, but you get both borders. And I hope you'll spread the message, because I think it's one that's needed in this world. Next up, okay, so you may remember from when I first shared about opening my Etsy store. It was in the same video that I shared this stitching that I did. This is a canvas work piece that I designed, and it is based off of a actual mosaic. This actual mosaic is 10 feet by 10 feet. It hangs in a museum. My piece is 12 inches by 12 inches. There was a lot of research and everything about it that I loved. And from this, I created this was the first time around, I created these 2 patterns. I called them Antioch Mosaic Knotwork and Antioch Mosaic Quilt Blocks. These 2 tied for 3rd place in terms of my bestseller list. And a number of people bought both of them, but not everyone bought both of them, and yet they still tied for 3rd place. And a couple people had asked, well, are you going to do the others? So the other squares in this original design. And these individually make up nice small pieces. You know, if you do like them on 14 count, 18 count, we're talking 4-ish or so inches. Cindy's cross stitch, hi Cindy, finished it and featured this one in 2 of her videos, one where she finished it and the other one where she finished it, and she changed the colors, which is wonderful. Instead of the reds, she's got blue, and I'll try to remember to link her below so you can see what it could look like. If you're someone who likes a series, maybe you're interested in having the other squares. So if you look closely, there's not actually 8 different squares. There's only 6 because, and this is true in the actual mosaic, 2 of them got repeated. And that makes for an interesting question of the mosaic artists, 1700 years ago. Why that was, I don't have an answer. So what I've done is I've created 2 patterns here, and they each have 2 blocks in them. I didn't know if anyone would be that interested in it if I sold them individually. It adds up. But I thought if I put 2 in a package for the remaining ones, which to me are not as interesting, but who knows, maybe they're really interesting to you, maybe you'd say, hey, I do want to do it. I want to do the whole series. So blocks 3 and 4, blocks 5 and 6, this would create the entire series if you have the other 2. So it would be a total of 6. They all use the same colors. And I charted them to make sure they even have the same symbols in all the charts. So you could do all 6 in a row and not get confused. So there you go. So all 6 of those patterns that I've shown you so far are all cross stitch patterns. They're all full crosses, no back stitching. But I've also done something that we will see how this goes, because I wanted to go a little further. These are also the last two that I have to share are the ones that took the most time for me, and that's just because of the learning curve of trying to do something new. So I have a Blackwork design that I would like to share with you. It is called Blackwork Quilt Squares. This is pretty close, if not very close, to something I did many, many years ago. It was something I gifted to a friend. I don't have the original to share with you. I don't even have a picture to share with you. When I originally did it, I did it as 9 separate little pieces, but they were all framed together. I've charted this out all on one chart. You could do it all on one big piece, but each of these squares could stand alone. Each square, and this was at a time where I was really fascinated with quilt blocks. Not that, I mean, I've always been sort of interested in quilting, although not, I like the idea of quilting more than the physical doing of quilting. And it's the geometry of quilt blocks that I was always fascinated with. So I've written in the information, here we go. This is called Sunshine and Shadows, the names of the quilt blocks. This is called Tumbling Block. This is Ohio Star, Pinwheel. This is a 9-patch, Log Cabin, Card Trick, Lemoyne Star, Diamond in the Square. And then I've also said some quilt blocks can have more than one name depending on time, era, and/or geographic location, or any number of other factors. If you have done Blackwork before, great. If you've never done Blackwork, it is like just doing the straight stitches that you would find in the back stitching of cross stitch. I was watching somebody's video, I wish I could remember who it was, and she was sharing how hard it was to make herself do the back stitching on some big cross stitch pattern. Like she had to like force herself to do X amount of back stitching as a, and then she'd reward herself with something else. And she said, and I don't know why that is, because I like Blackwork. I like that Blackwork project that I'm working on. I don't have a problem doing the straight stitches there. So these are all straight stitches. Now, I'll just a heads up to anyone who thinks or cares about these things. I decided, just because of how it would look, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. The chart for this is in color. And I decided, and here we go, quick little peek. I think it's easier to do Blackwork, or to do a piece like this if you could kind of break down, okay, here's some main lines and then here are some fillers. I would say do it all in the same thread and not change anything. Sorry, no, take that back. Because one of the things I wrote is that Blackwork is traditionally done in black thread, but please keep an open mind. There's nothing that says that Blackwork has to be done in black thread. That said, what I mean by the different colors is that whatever thread you choose, it's not that the red line has to be a different color than the blue line in my chart. I just did the different colors of lines because I think it's going to be helpful when you are stitching it. I'm not going to claim that this is like a beginner Blackwork piece if you've never done, but everyone's different. If you've never done Blackwork before and this just looks intriguing, go ahead, get it. There's probably plenty of sources online that could get you started, or as always, pop me an email. I would love to be able to help as much as I possibly can. So, Blackwork Quilt Squares. And if there's interest in this, I am excited about the idea of doing more Blackwork designs because it's something that I just like. Okay, the last thing, which again, I spent a lot of time doing, but again, so much of that was the learning curve, is that I have featured a lot of canvas work on here, and I've gotten some wonderful positive response, and some of you have never seen some of the things I've done before in Stitching World, and some of you have and have never tried it before. I have created what I'm calling Canvas Work Square number 1, and I'm being very hopeful calling it number 1, that maybe it'll be the beginning of a series. This is what the actual thing looks like. So it's actually stitched here. And I've truly intended this to be a beginner canvas work project, because what you get in here is not just the pattern, but 6 pages of instructions. And the instructions are not just, it's literally to take you step by step with diagrams. Like, I'll do a little flip, diagram, and pictures, okay, diagram, pictures, more diagrams of pictures. I wanted to give this a try. I wanted to, I think that there's a lot of people, again, this is my take on it, there's a lot of people that are intrigued by trying something different. How I got started doing it was I wanted to see what else was out there besides the X of cross stitch. So here was my thinking, and I'm going to credit, I have mentioned before, Fiber Talk. Go listen to them. WeTalkFiber.com. I'll put some links below. When Christine was starting, like, her first canvas project, and she wasn't starting with, she chose to not start with a beginner thing. She started with quite the, I'll even say, advanced intermediate design. Gary used the phrase, or he had to help her set up her infrastructure. That's his phrase, the infrastructure. So when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, well, I can't do this unless I think out the infrastructure for anyone, for anyone who might be thinking about this. So first thing, what do you need to do this design? I purposely created a design that only uses DMC floss. There are, I've shown some of them, amazing threads that could be used in canvas work, but you don't have to. So first thing, only use things that are easy to get. So DMC floss, 3 colors is what I used in this. Secondly, make it small. The design size is very specific. This piece of canvas is 9 inches by 9 inches. Why did I do 9 inches by 9 inches? Because I am also offering to sell you a piece of 9 inch by 9 inch canvas. This is the only piece of the infrastructure that might be challenging for you to get. You can get DMC floss, most likely, or any thread, whatever thread you like to use, anchor or gentle arts, whatever. But I understand that, especially to get a piece this size, depending on even your local, if your store even carries canvas, can you buy it in a small size? That varies by what kind of store you have. Some of them will only sell you, anyway, the point is, I myself am willing to buy a large piece and cut it up into 9 inch by 9 inch pieces and sell it for a few bucks for you. So why did I decide this size? Because it fits in a 9 by 12 envelope, which is the size that I am sending patterns in. Now, if you're thinking, well, how do you stitch on this? So I've written this all out. You can stitch in hand. To me, I find this uncomfortable. To me, it's an uncomfortable, but hey, go for it if you can. You've seen me hold up, and perhaps you have seen stretcher bars, wooden things like this. If you happen to own them, or you have a store near you that sells them, hey, go ahead and get them. They used to be something that I could buy at a Michael's and a Joann's. My Michael's and Joann's, and any that I have visited, have not sold them for years. It's just not something they sell anymore. But I kept thinking, infrastructure here, what could I do? So here's my little test to prove to you this works. Q-snaps, people. So I am not going to recommend that you actually put, like some of you have small Q-snaps. When I played with this, I just truly felt I would break my Q-snaps if I tried to put I just wasn't willing to push it enough to see if I would break a Q-snap. I don't even own square ones, okay? But what you can do is take a piece of canvas, so any kind of scrap fabric that you have, this is just muslin fabric that I just had scraps of, and to whatever size extra you need, and there you go. You can do canvas work using a Q-snap. And, you're used to holding a Q-snap, however you're used to doing it, you could give it a try. So when you go to my store, you will see this pattern as 3 options. You'll see the PDF, you will see a paper copy, and you will see the paper copy with a piece of blank canvas. So you can purchase it 3 different ways. So just make sure you're clicking on the right way as you want it. And again, this, I'll just give you the close-up. I walk you through step by step how to do everything. Really, all you need are 3 different colors of what could be DMC floss, a piece of canvas, and an open mind to trying something new if you've never done anything like it before. Okay, now, one other thing. It's not up there yet as of this moment, Friday afternoon. It will be in the next couple of days, so depending when you're watching this. There's going to be a custom order option on my Etsy store. I just want to share all that I know most of the people who watch Flosstube are into cross stitch. If there are any needle pointers who are watching me, or if you know a true needle pointer who might be interested, I'm just going to share this with you. You may have seen, depending on when you were last at my Etsy store, or you will see it when you get there, a pattern that looks very specific. It has come up in my videos that I went to Wellesley College a few weeks ago. Wellesley's commencement was live streamed. There was a big guest speaker. That's why it was live streamed. Lots of alums watched it. On the Facebook groups of alums, there was this particular quote just got talked out a lot. And on the craft group, people were saying, we should have t-shirts made, we should make pillow, all kinds of cool stuff. And I popped in and said, would there be any interest for a cross-stitch pattern? And there was, so I put one together. And from that, somebody, an alum who also knows, the extent of the other things that I do, knows of and I've shared with you about hand-painted needlepoint world. And hand-painted canvas done well is stitch painted. So she contacted me. She doesn't like to do cross-stitch, but she likes needlepoint, and she asked, could I translate that into a needlepoint canvas? And I did. I still have it in my possession because she's away. I need to mount her when she gets home. And so from this has come the idea that any of my patterns I'm going to offer, custom orders only, obviously. Any of my patterns, if anybody wants a hand-painted, stitch-painted is what it's called, canvas for needlepoint. I'm happy to work with people on figuring out cost and options, and of course could be custom ordered and everything. So just know that you'll see that there. It's for needlepoint. Please, if you know anyone, spread the word. The last thing. So 2 videos ago, I said I wanted to do a giveaway. And so here I am. I'm going to do a giveaway. And I have observed lots of people doing giveaways. Most of you who have done giveaways use the random number generator thing. Thank you, Bendy Stitchy Michelle, for showing at least one example. There may be others out there, I just haven't seen you, of people who are doing it the way I'm about to do, which is pieces of paper in a bowl. To me, this is like, I don't remember the words, Michelle, that you use. I think it was like the tactile. I wanna do this rather than hit a button. So since I was writing out all the names anyway, I just cut up the piece of paper and put them in a bowl. There were, it's either 73 or 78. I think it was 73 names that entered this. And what I had said is I wanted to give away a free copy of one of my patterns. And it could be one of the patterns I shared here today, or if you're interested in one of my previous patterns, you go to my Etsy store, see what you like. And I am going to give away 3 of them. And that makes everyone who's in here, your chances are about 1 in 25, which I think are pretty good, given the way these giveaways work. So I hope you observe. I'm trying to do a good mix-up here. As random as look, I'm not even looking at names, as good as a random number generator, just because I think I like the realness of this people. Okay, so 3 people who, oops, one fell out, 3 people who are going to get their choice, whatever they want, of one of my patterns. So I recognize this name. So the first name, the bowl down, is Granny Lynn, and I'm almost positive you're the one. I'm almost positive you got some of my patterns last time, and if you are who I think you are, I think you'll be really happy. So that's the first one. The second one, I got one name here. Andrea Rosilio. I can't even read my own handwriting. Andrea Rosilio. And the third one. There we go. Margot Hay. So if you three folks could contact, the easiest way to do this, I will see if I have any contact information for you, or of course the easiest thing is if you see this video before I figure out how to contact you and you pop me an email, worksbyabc@gmail.com. I would love to know which pattern you would like, PDF or physical pattern. I'm happy to mail to you. It's just fun to give away something, and something that is my pleasure to give away. So for everyone who has sat here and watched, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking with me. I appreciate all the support. I hope you'll take a look at my store, take a look at the options. If you choose to buy something, thank you very much. And if you're just watching here and leave me a comment of support, that is, of course, really appreciated as well. I hope everyone has a good stitching day. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.